Hello students, welcome to the series lecture of analog communication system. We have completed the series lecture of digital electronics. If you want, you can go through that. It is in my playlist. We'll see in this lecture, we'll start with the introduction part, then we'll see the block diagram and we'll see some important characteristics of receiver in this lecture. Let us first see that what is communication system. So it is the system which is designed for the purpose of transmitting and receiving the information. So we can think of two things here. We may have the information source and then it is to send the information from one place to another place. We have the communication system which may constitute some blocks, and ultimately we have the information sink where the destination will take place. Let us see the block diagram of analog communication system. See, when you want to transfer something, right, what you require is you require a source to generate the information. Let's say right now if I am speaking or if I am conveying some information to you guys, it means my voice is going to be the information and I am going to be the information source, right? But what will happen? Which may be the different types of information source. See, the information may be in type of audio, it may be in the type of video, or it may be the type of data, right? So there may be three different types of informations. One is audio, video and data. It may be possible that you may have the instruction in the form of electrical, so that I have also represented the information in the form of electrical form, right? What happens if you do not have the information in form of video, or let's say, what I want to say is, if you have the information which is present in form of non-electrical form. So let's say if I'm speaking something, it is voice signal, but it is not in electrical form. Then I may require some device which can convert this non-electrical energy into the electrical energy. So for that, what we require is called as input transducer, right? So that voice signal is going to be catch up by this mic from the mobile, and it is being converted into the electrical form, right? So I have represented mic as an example over here, right? And which is going to convert our information in the electrical form. But after converting our information in form of electrical, what is the next process? See, if I have the 100 students in class, if I want to address them, I do not require anything else. I can directly address them. But what happens if you have the students, let's say, if you have the people like 500 or 1000, you cannot address all of them, right? Why? Because it is a tendency of signal that when the distance is increasing, its amplitude is going to be decreased, strength is going to be weakened. So it cannot be traveled up to the longer distance, right? So, and what happens ultimately, it may not be a complete or good communication system. So you require to strengthen your signal. So for an example, if you have many people, you require loudspeakers or you require the PA system, so which is going to provide strength to your signal, fine, so that you can address the people. So at the same time, you are transmitting the information, and this particular process of making the strengthen your signal is called as modulation process, and it is going to be carried out with the transmitter. So transmitter is the system which is going to strengthen your signal, and it may constitute the antenna through which your signal is going to be transmitted, right? So to transmit the signal, what else is required? We require particular medium, and that medium is nothing but it is called as channel. So channel is something through which you are going to transmit the information. So this channel can be of two types. It may be wire line type or it may be wireless type. So for the mobile communication, we use the medium as air, so it is wireless communication. And for the telephone, right, landline systems, we use the data cables, so that it is wireline channel. Okay, so once you have, let's say, once you have transmitted your information from the channel, then what is next? you have to receive the information at the other end, right? So now you have this strengthened signal, but receiver is going to receive that strengthened signal and it is going to extract the information from that modulated signal. So receiver does that process, which is called as demodulation, and you may have your signal back in this form. But see, it is simple to understand that the people cannot understand the information in form of electrical, right? If you take the example, we cannot understand that what is if we cannot talk in the form of sine wave, isn't that right? So what we require to convert our information into the original form, and for that we required one more transducer, which is called as output transducer, right? So for an example, in our mobile we have the loudspeaker, right? So through that your electrical signal is going to convert it into the voice signal back. So you may have the successful communication. One more important thing is that you may have the same medium of communication, right? Otherwise what will happen? See, for an example, what I want to say is, let's say one guy is there who is communicating in English, and at the other end the fellow is not able to understand English because he is Chinese. So then that it may not be the worthy communication system, right? So that is why it is required, so to have the information in the same form at the receiver end, so that it can be a successful communication system, right? But in the case of analog communication system, you require the energy in the form of electrical signal. So that is why we are converting our signal in the electrical form, right? So the last block diagram is noise. So noise is what? It is kind of unwanted electrical signal which may interfere with the signal that you are trying to transmit, and it may cause the various variation in your signal, and you may not get your information properly. So that is why these things are needs to be studied. So you need to remember the components that we have discussed: input transducer, transmitter, transmission channel, receiver, and output transducer. I hope you guys got the information about all this. I have just mentioned here in form of definition. You can go through that. Okay, I need to talk about the receiver a little bit more, so it will be clear. It will get you clear about some parameters. See, when you design the receiver, see, we know that at the end of at the input of receiver, so many numbers of signals are present. Even let's say if you carry your mobile, it at the mobile antenna, so many signals are present, because we know that signals can pass through your bones also. So if your mobile is in your pocket, you can say that your signals are present in your pocket also. So what I want to say is, so receiver must be able to receive the desired signal only. It must be able to reject the unwanted signals. So that when you design the receiver, these four parameters must be considered. One is selectivity. What is selectivity? So if you have poor selectivity, you may not be able to receive the proper signal. So let's say at this hand, if he say that, can you hear me? And here, without hearing, he'll say that I can't hear you, right? Because he's not able to catch up the signals, right? So it may be due to some bad weather condition and some other noises, external noise, we say that, right? The second parameter is called as sensitivity. Sensitivity is nothing but it is required to sense the weakest signal. See, this is the parameter which is called as, it is the ability of receiver to sense the weakest signal, right? So if you have the poor sensitivity, let's say if you are communicating, let's say how are you, some message is going to be lost, right? So it is not at all tolerable. What is fidelity? Fidelity is what? It is the ability of receiver to reproduce the signal, right? So if you are not able to reproduce the signal, what will happen? If you say how are you, your friend is going to say that my father is fine. So there may be a communication gap, right? So this communication gap is not at all accepted. So, and the last thing is that your signal must be amplified so that it can be properly received. So thank you, students. If you have any questions, you can post your questions as a comment. I will obviously reply to that questions. And in the next lecture, I will try to understand what is the modulation and what is the need of modulation. Till that, thank you very much. Have a good day.